welcome to the new episode of Magick Revolution TV. I am Damian Eccles. This is David's two pockets. Sorry it's been a while, but we are back with all sorts of interesting things to cover this time.
Yeah. So you just got back from Colorado to work on a new project, and why don't you tell us all about that, because that's really exciting. Man.
It is actually a book on magic, and it's going to be a while before it comes out. It won't be out until next year because there's still a lot of editing and all sorts of stuff to do on it. But I went to Boulder, Colorado, and over a period of 3.5 days, I recorded a book on magic. And I did it in a way that's completely unlike any writing I've ever done before. I walked into the recording studio with nothing. No notes, no planned book, nothing. And I just started recording.
Yeah.
So now they have to take all of those recordings and transcribe them, which is part of the reason it's going to, not be out until next year. Transcribe them, edit them, all that. But it felt like the single most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. It felt like when I walked out of there, it felt like I had accomplished my life's work, or at least a huge part of it.
Because this is something that you've been
my whole life
focusing on wanting to do,
yeah.
and that from the very get-go of getting into magic.
Well,
right?
when I was a kid, I used to think if you put out a book on magic, you've contributed to the body of knowledge that exists on the subject. So to me, that was like the highest thing I could have possibly wished for, to like have a book published on ceremonial magic. So it was like I didn't even realize it was happening until the last day when I recorded the last piece, and it was like I had this huge epiphany, this realization, like, oh my God, I just did what I've wanted to do ever since I was a child, and I just finished it. And I went back to the hotel room. Me and Dave were talking about this.
You walk out and get hit by a fucking bus.
Done.
Like what?
I was talking to Dave about it before we started, how when I finished, I went back to the hotel room and it started snowing. It started snowing in May, the end of May. It started snowing in Colorado. And when I was in prison, one of the things I used to focus on the most that would help me keep my sanity, help me feel some sort of connection to the outside world, the thing I missed most was Christmas. And I would think about that all the time, constantly, trying to make myself feel the way I felt at Christmas as a child. And that's what this felt like when I finished. It was snowing outside. I ordered pizza from room service, and it was the best pizza I've ever tasted in my life.
In Colorado. Was it Boulder,
Boulder,
right?
Colorado. Yeah. It was the most amazing thing. It was as if the entire universe was saying, you did good. You can rest. You can finally enjoy life. And honestly, this was the first time I've ever felt this since I've been out. I felt like I could relax. I could take things in. It felt like the old chapter of my life, all the hard shit that I've been dealing with since I've been out, it felt like it was done. Like I closed the cover on that and
started moving on to the next book,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not even like another chapter that you're moving on to. It's a whole nother book.
That's exactly what it is. A whole new life. Yeah. It's like I feel like my life has started again. Started anew. And I didn't see this coming. I did not see this coming. I didn't have any clue that I was going to feel this way, that it was going to be this. It was the most magical thing I've ever experienced in my life, period. And I can't wait till it's out. It really has made me feel like I've sort of rededicated my entire life to magic.
Yeah. And it must have a feeling too of opening up yourself to all these other opportunities of because you put that kind of not that you're done with that, but like you put that closure on getting that book done. So now it's like, what's next? And I know you know what's next, but before we talk about that, it's how was it going in there and kind of going in there with that free form idea
it was scary as hell. This was the scariest, most stressful, and most rewarding work that I've ever done. Like a lot of days I went in there without any idea what I was going to say whatsoever. And the first thing I would do whenever I went into the recording studio, I would go in, close the door, be by myself. I would have candles lit, and I would start evoking the angels, the angelic order associated with Hod, which is the sphere on the tree of life that corresponds to eloquence, being well-spoken, getting your ideas and points across to other people. I would start evoking them as strongly as I could and just saying, help me do this. And I would just open my mouth and it would just come flooding out, almost like it wasn't even me. It was just like spilling through me. And it was like everything I've studied my whole life, everything I've practiced, everything I've done led up to that.
To that point. So it wasn't necessarily actual, which I didn't know. It wasn't. I assumed that it was more of like kind of a conversation where somebody was asking questions. So it was you just cutting loose and being able to do that.
And it's a lot of it was about stuff that I've, I would just talk about things I've learned. Like how the energy system works, and things like holding hands with people and exchanging energy with people in other places. So a lot of it was just talking, but a lot of it was going through, the technical, actual exercises that people have to do. Anything from the middle pillar exercise to the lesser banishing to charging objects, all these things. I had to go through the process of telling people how to do that.
And that's, I don't know if we talked about it, but that's kind of the idea of it. It's not only a book on magic, but it's also kind of a workbook, right?
Exactly. And it's going to be an audio book that you can listen to and Amazing. Do it with me while I'm talking. Like I'll lead you through the process, talking you through the exercises so you can do them. What I realized also, though, that this is the direction my life is going to take from now on. This is what I want to do. I already have 2 more books in mind that I would like to do in this exact same way. One of them will be a book on tarot. One of them will be another book on magic that would just pick up where that one left off. And keep going forward with that. But this is what I want to do now. I feel like I've sort of, ever since I've been out, I've just kind of been like trying to figure out how to operate in the world again. Just kind of floundering around, trying to figure out how shit works out here. And it feels like I've really neglected my magical practice, because when I was in prison I was doing it up to 8 hours a day, and then I get out, all of a sudden it's like everything short circuits. So now I feel like I'm back to normal.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's pretty safe to say it's kind of impossible though to maintain the practice that you had when you were in that situation because of. Now it's like you're out here in the world and have all these. It's not even distractions. You just have other life
you have to do.
Yeah.
What I tried to do though is Aleister Crowley said at one point. He said, "Inflame thyself with prayer," and that meant do magic constantly. Mm-hmm. Not just like huge rituals that you set up when everything is perfect and you've got the perfect space and it takes you 3 hours to do it. He said, do it for every fucking thing. Everything you get ready to do, you either do magic for, you do energy work for, you evoke an angel for, whatever it is, so that you're doing magic nonstop, 24 hours a day. And I feel a lot like ever since I completed this, that's what I've started doing. Where instead of doing, 3-hour rituals every single day, I do it like on the fly, as quick as I can, every time I'm getting ready to do something. Like whenever I'm getting ready to come over here, I'll do it so that I've got a safe, pleasant trip. Mm-hmm. Or when I'm getting ready to go to the grocery store, same thing. Help me do that. Yeah, every single thing I do in my daily life, I've started doing magic for it.
But that's also at the point when you can, when you're practicing in that way. I mean, you could literally, and this is more of a question for you, but I mean, you can literally do that as you're walking to the train.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly. You surround yourself with, seraphim for protection, or, once again, you evoke angels from Hod, or you draw on the planetary energy of Mercury, because both those things are associated with travel. And you ask, same thing. Everything it is, every single thing that I'm doing, every single thing I'm starting, even when it's going to work out in the morning, I'll do magic before I go, just so that it sort of goes before me. And there's a scripture in the Bible where it says something like, I'll go before you and make the crooked places straight.
Yes.
And that's what magic does. I send it out before me to make the crooked places straight.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So now that's with the publisher out in Colorado, and how would people find that?
It's a company called Sounds True, and it's a pretty big company now. They're growing every day, but all of their material, everything they publish, is on meditation, qigong, anything to do with magic, meditation, energy work, Eastern philosophies and traditions, all of that kind of stuff. If I'm not mistaken, this is probably their very first book on Western ceremonial magic, although they have delved into the tarot before. A friend of mine named Teresa Reed published a tarot coloring book through them. She made like a coloring book so that you can learn what all the colors in the cards mean, because you're filling them in and reading about it while you're doing it, all that sort of thing.
That's great. So it's like a whole exercise in that kind of way.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah.
So they've done books on tarot before, but I don't think they've ever done anything strictly on ceremonial magic. But it's a pretty huge company, and whenever the book comes out, it'll be everywhere. It'll be Barnes and Noble and whatever,
Amazon,
exactly.
and all that. You'll be able to get it anywhere and everywhere. That's great. So keeping on the Magick route, we're getting ready to actually do a trip July. In July,
we leave on the 6th.
Yeah, I still gotta get my tickets. We leave on the 6th, and
the opening is the 8th.
The opening is an 8th with Menton J. Matthews III, myself. We're doing a show entitled Impressions. However, before the show Impressions, on the 7th, Damien will be doing
on the 8th. I'll be doing
the 8th. That's right. That's right. I got confused because me and Menton are going to be doing something the day before. That's what it was. Yeah. On the 8th, so before the opening, you will be doing a Magick workshop. However, at this point, I believe all the tickets are sold out.
Yeah,
so,
I believe it
but that's you excited for that? Because I know that
yeah.
But the last one you did was a hell of a lot of fun, and it was kind of a while before you did since you did one last.
Yeah. The last time I was there, I think it would have been last October.
Yeah,
I did one there in Chicago, and I've been wanting to go back. And it also feels like this is one of those things that I can do. First off, it's what I love doing. Magic is my life. Mm-hmm. But it's also always, my eyes bother me a lot. My eyes have gotten worse and worse since I've been out, and I always worry, like, what am I going to do if there ever comes a day when I just can't see anymore, whenever I'm blind? And it's like, okay, this is it. You found it. You can do what you love, even if you're blind one day. Even if you can't see anymore, you can still do this. You can still talk to people about this, teach people how to do this, share it with people.
Yeah, you still have the sight through ears and voice.
Exactly. I could go in and write books for the rest of my life without having to be able to see the paper and the pen and all that. So it's a huge relief in that regard. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited about that in Chicago, being able to share that with people, being able to do magic with people.
Yeah.
Both people who are returning, who took the first class and who want to pick up where we left off, and people who are coming in fresh.
And it's not necessarily a class where you had to be there for the first one. It's still,
it'll be, we'll cover a little bit of what we covered in the first class just to sort of catch the newcomers up and help them be able to do the new stuff. But at the same time, a lot of it will be new stuff that the people who came before won't just be repeating.
Yeah.